The first is determine your level of need. How much do you need to get a deal done relative to how much do they need to get a deal done? Now let's think about this in the context of the house negotiation in which I engaged and the story that I told you at the very beginning of the seminar. How much did I need to get a deal done? How much did I need this house? And what factors impacted that situation? Yeah?
How fed up you were with your apartment life and 9 months worth of hunting?
How fed up was I with the apartment life and 9 months of looking, right? I mean, the longer I'm looking, the more I need to buy, right? Now, that obviously is coming from my perspective, but we need to think about not only my perspective, but the seller's perspective. And how needy was she to sell? How needy was she to sell? Yeah?
When's her house going to be ready?
When's her house going to be done? Information I want to know. If she is going to need to move in 2 weeks and 3 weeks, you know, that's information that is of significant strategic benefit to me, because the first level of the leverage equation is how much do I need a deal relative to how much the other side needs a deal. And it's critically important to recognize and understand that this is a relative concept. We naturally think through, as I discussed before, how much you need something, how much your client needs something. I'll give you another real-life example. I am now in the process of selling the house that I bought 6 years ago. It's been on the market now for about 45 days. Okay, now I've gone back and forth now twice with someone who is interested in purchasing the house. How much do I need to sell that house? What do you think? How much do I need to sell that house? It's been on the market for 45 days.
Not much.
Not much, although that depends on also what's it costing me. Now, we moved in December, okay, into a new house. So that house has been, you know, costing me on a month-to-month basis X amount of money. So that is the calculation. Now, what I also need to know, and what I found out about the seller is what? Or about the potential purchaser, is what? What do I want to know about the potential purchaser who has given me an offer? Yes, sir.
Have they sold their house?
Have they sold their house, and how long have they been looking? Now, they have been looking for a new house for 4 months. And again, you know, this is a potential purchaser. Now it's a couple who are married, and they each have sold or are selling their respective houses. One of their houses has sold, the other house has not sold. So we're dealing with my level of need based on 45 days on the market, and their level of need based on looking for a house that satisfies their interests over the course of 4 months. Leverage also is based on perception. There is no such thing, in my opinion, as true leverage. It is all completely based on perception. Their perception of your need, your perception of their need. And in fact, one of the things you said, you know, what do you do if you've got weak leverage? And the question was, at least you perceive there to be weak, leverage. You have the ability, obviously, to impact the perception of every different individual in the context of your negotiations. And that's one of the critical aspects of this golden rule. Maximize your leverage. You have the ability to impact it. So, for instance, during the break, one of the participants here said, "What do I do in this particular context?" and described a situation where they perceived themselves in a strategic way to always have weak leverage. What did he say? Well, you know, we represent individuals who often have to negotiate with the enforcement arm of government. Okay, well, what is their level of need? It oftentimes is quite significant. The more needy you are, the more desperate you are, the weaker your leverage. And what this gentleman said is, the person representing the government has no need to get a deal done. Okay? Now, I'm not quite sure that that is always entirely true, but in fact, that is the perception, certainly, that his clients have, because you're looking at one alternative, the enforcement mechanism of the federal government coming down on you, thinking, I need to get a deal done. And one of the things in that particular context to recognize is that there are personal interests of government attorneys that need to get recognized, that need to get evaluated in the context of what you're trying to accomplish. Government attorneys also have incentives to move cases forward, to close particular cases, to represent the public interest. And one of the things that I suggested is we need to recognize and understand that government attorneys also have different interests involved, even though your client's perception may absolutely be that look, you know, what can I do? The government, the federal government, has the ability to put me in jail and to print money. That's a fairly significant advantage, right? But understand that leverage is relative and leverage is also based on perception.